I'm ready if you're ready. Welcome to Field Archaeology 101. Uh, we've had a lot of loose ends, not dangly, twangly nuisance ends, but important things that we kind of left hanging out there. So I thought it'd be good just to pull them all together. And I'm really excited because this is like things that I like to savor. You know, it's like the meat right along a bone or the inside of the skin of a peach. You know, there's just certain places you want to nibble a little extra. And this is one of these minutes. So push your chair back, get your feet up, grab your iced tea, and here we go. What I did is I've collected 6 or 7 things that I want to spend a minute. You know me, in a minute. It's probably going to be 5, but it's good time. And in the last few weeks, I've looked at things. I've been to meetings, looked at people's artifacts. I was up at a great museum yesterday, and certain things that are unusual were popping out to me. And I was reflecting in my collection, things that I found that are highly unusual. You're going to look at something here in a little bit that I've only I didn't even find it. My daughter did. Once in my over 60 years of field walking have I seen. Now, can I say these are rare? Well, in my area, it might be, but in Southern Ohio, other places may not. So we're just going to jump into this and take a look at a few things. I wanted to start off with these. And I wasn't even sure what to call them. I was put my little measuring stick in the middle. What we're looking at is some time periods. These are Ashtabulas right here, for sure. And these are very similar to what we call bottlenecks in Ohio. Now, these would be middle toward late Archaic time period. Of course, these are just pre-Adena, these 3. But what I'm looking at are hafted flint hammers. I'm going to hold one up. I want you to take a look at it. Here's the piece. I'm going to hold the hafting and I'm going to tip it towards you. Look at the distal end. I'm going to hold up another one. So I'll set him down. I'm going to grab another one. I'm holding him at the proximal end. These are bifaces. Look at the distal end. You see how well rounded it is. With a hand lens, you can see it. These have been used as hafted hammers. A hafted flint hammer. What are they doing with these things? I'll sit them back down. And I stuck a couple hafted shaft scrapers in here because these are dealing with the time period. Ashtabula, Ashtabula, Ashtabula. And I just thought this is kind of neat because it shows a composite of some tools coming out of that pre-Adena time period. These both are hafted shaft scrapers. This one is more a multi-purpose tool than this one. We have places that have been created by gravers. We have our scraper here, graver here. We have another little tiny thin handheld hammer. And he's got a hammer on both ends, proximal and distal end. And these are hafted hammers. I wanted to share these with you because as I go through my collection and as I have been going through it looking for various things to talk, share, teach, I realize that these are very unusual. Again, I can't say rare to Ohio, but very unusual for North Central Ohio. So I'm going to call on you for some help. In your collections, if you're in Ohio, do you have any hafted flint hammers? Okay, let me know. I'd like to know about it. I'd like to see them. The next thing I wanted to bring up and share with you, I love you guys. Man, if I even turn wrong, I hear from it. And this one, with the help of my videographer, we repaired a break. I'm going to hold it and then I'm going to flip him over to the other side. What I want you to look at are the punctates on this. And notice when I flip them that these are in the exact spots on the other side. Here we go. The exact spots on the other side. So my question for you is, what is going on? I've never found one of these, and this one my daughter found when she was little. And the break that one of you was asking about, and I'll point to it because we had a great glue job to put it back together, was right here. But a second piece, and she found this other piece when she was walking. There was a little sliver of a piece that broke from rattling inside the frame. Now, if you're real good, and we have a good shot, and the wind is right, and the sunset is cool, and the rain isn't coming down, you might be able to see the engravings on here. And there's quite a few going on this side. I'm going to flip him. And this side is not quite as obvious. Normally, we'd say this is a repair hole. When I look at this end like that, this is not a plow brake. This is a prehistoric brake. So the question is, did we have some sort of a pendant purposely broke or accidentally broke, and then they were trying to rework it? Don't know, but I'm showing it to you because if you have these in your collection, if you have a punctate or a series of punctates and you're from Ohio, that's really unusual. And it's worth taking a picture. It's worth a little article for our archaeology journal. Just say, hey, I found these back in 1793. Okay, so that's what this frame is all about. And again, we're tying up some ends, and this is especially fun for me. And a question comes up every once in a while about, is this Fort Ancient or is it late Woodland? And for me, that's tough to say because I don't find Fort Ancient in my north central Ohio or rarely in east central Ohio, but I'm going to show you some stuff right now. Now, this piece came out of north central Ohio, and it's a knife that I've heard people say, oh, you got a late Woodland knife. Not to be confused with archaic. This is a little more detailed, a little more intimacy than you get oftentimes on the archaic pieces, but I'm going to show it to you. I want you to see both sides, but in particular, I want you to see the thickness. And I'm going to hold up another piece right beside it, and I'm hoping, I got my fingers crossed, that you'll be able to say, oh, the one on the left is a lot thinner than the one on the right. I'm going to give you a minute to look at that. I'm going to get a dime to help you get a sense of thinness here. And everybody's got pocket change. But look how thin the piece is on the left. And why am I doing this? Because there's a question. Are we doing Fort Ancient? A little bit of a flare right here that oftentimes is associated with Fort Ancient. But you know what? This could also be late Woodland. The Fort Ancient that I'm familiar with is not paper or razor blade thin like this. However, up here, we get triangles that are this thin, sometimes even thinner. But this is right, literally on the edge of any thinner. It would be hard to make it. Why am I showing it to you? Because it's unusual. When you look at your collection, if you have not triangles, but if you have a knife and it's really thin, take the extra special time to take care of it, and then call it to somebody's attention. There's a lot of great stuff that you have in your collections that's being found and not being documented. We'd like to know about it. So I have what I think is late Woodland, what I think is archaic. And this kind of typifies in many ways a Fort Ancient piece. I'm going to put him on his side, or not his side, but his edge, and let you look at, and you'll be able to see it's a little bit thicker. Here we go. A little bit thicker than late Woodland. Okay, all right. Fort Ancient. I think this is late Woodland. I think this is coming out of the archaic time period. This is so much fun, you guys. Thanks for hanging in there. This one is in question. I've had people tell me this is Fort Ancient. Definitely a perforator of some sort. A little bit thick, once again. a little bit thick. It's not like the pieces over here. Perhaps somebody might think it's a drill. I don't think so. But with this type of a flared base, I do find these in archaic, and some of them are so big, it's hard to even imagine. But I'm showing you things that are unique that I want you to take a second look at in your collection. Now, if you're from Southern Ohio or even Southeastern Ohio, Fort Ancient probably isn't that uncommon in your collection. But North Central, East Central, some of those areas, Fort Ancient is pretty unusual. Moving right along. I field tripped with my archaeology group yesterday to a county just north of Mansfield, Ohio. Actually, it'd be between Mansfield and Lake Erie. The town is called Norwalk. And the name of the museum is the Firelands Historical Society. The Firelands Historical Society. Why am I telling you about this? Because a lot of archaeologists, a lot of academic archaeologists now feel that this museum that is privately owned, not owned by the government, privately owned, it may be the best collection of prehistoric artifacts in the state of Ohio. I know they had a ground sloth, a Pleistocene ground sloth put back together again. They had a group somewhere up in the Toledo area gifted at reassembling and putting fur on these things and making them look real. And they did, and it's huge. And it's awesome to stand by it. And then they had the bones, and the bones had cut marks on them. And now we're looking at an animal that was harvested way bigger than us, way bigger than us. And there's the cut bones, the document that prehistoric people were working on it. So now we're tying prehistoric people together with the time period during the Pleistocene. Anyway, I'd like you to experiment. I'd like you to go there. I'd like you to find this museum. It's worth going. If you have a group, it's a family group. And I highly recommend the trip. It's worth it. If it's a 2-hour drive, 3-hour drive, call them, the curator. Matt will. There's our sloth. I wish I were standing by it. If I were, my head would be right about here. Matt Wood loves to. He's a curator, but what makes him special is he's been a field walker his entire lifetime. And you'll be able to see this just extensive artifact collection. And it's fun. I want you to go visit. And then I brought, just to revisit, as you go through your collections, and I know that we can't get out into the fields now, limited success now. It's hard, and maybe you'll be able to get into the fields before winter. But things that are unusual, go ahead and make sure you got your site number on, but pull them out. And I put a frame together here that's unusual. And so we've got a couple things going on here. We've got what I call an overshot, and a lot of academics and different people call an overshot going from east to west. For me, they're north to south. But either way, we have a type of overshot. You know what they are. I've mentioned it to you. We have the proximal end, the distal end, and there it is. There's the little kid pouting with his lip sticking out. It kind of rolls over a little bit, just like that. Unusual because they targeted it, they worked the edge, and they made a tool right here. They have a tool right here. And even these, I've been told to check the edge out with a really powerful hand lens. And I did, and I have. And a lot of these were used as a type of smoothing tool. So one piece, many uses. And so all these are different various overshots. Here's an overshot. But look at this. They reworked the lip. They reworked the lip. The lip is almost indestructible. And then to make your tool on an indestructible edge, I think that both connotates and denotates for me some serious work that was going on with this puppy, okay? And then you'll get sometimes an overshot, where they manipulated it with burins and created an incredible burin, not a burin, but a graver of sorts right here. When you find these, they're unusual. Pull them out, frame them up, make sure your site number's on it, and then talk about it with your friends. How do you like this overshot? How many of these do you find when you're out walking? I don't find any this big. And what I did is I wrote the name of the guy that made it in 2025. And I picked this up at the Flint Nap-In this year in Coshocton, Ohio. And I did it because I need to restate, I need to back up, put my tail between my legs and say, you know what? These weren't random hits. These were calculated strikes. And what he did, I asked him, can you make overshots? And he picked up a block of flint. He set it up. He worked with a preform. He set up his edges, both sides, and went whack. And he had a fan-shaped overshot that was on one of the sides, and it went from lateral side across to lateral side. And same thing, picked him up, whacked. He knew what he was doing. He did it. Now, if they knew how to do it, then we have a new tool type here, because I already talked to you about hundreds that we find where they've been altered, where they have been intentionally altered, where they are enhanced for tools. And then I stuck a little guy in here just to let you know that these overshots can be really tiny. And keeping little tiny in mind, let's go this way to this little tiny piece. Looks like a flake of flint. I'm going to flip him. Looks just like a flake of flint. I'm going to flip him. Looks just like a flake of flint. He's under an inch. And this was just an arbitrary size name that I came up with, micro tool. I named them clear back in the 70s, micro tools. It's really hard to bring new concepts forward. If people don't like you, or if they're academics, they snub you and it dies right there. But we hung on to micro tools across the years, and now we're buying into it. I'm going to pick them up. This is a uniface tool. We have the proximal here, distal end here. We said on a uniface piece, start at your proximal and immediately go to your distal end. This is less than an inch. I call micros an inch or less. I'm going to tip him. I want you to look at him. I'll hold him until we can get a good zoom on this. The edge is beautifully reworked. Another one, less than an inch. Distal end worked. Little guys, micro tools, and you can have fun. Did the chicken come before the egg, or egg before the chicken? Big people using little tools, little people using little tools, big people using little tools for for minuscule jobs, and the quest goes on. But that's for you to play with and kick around and see what you come up with. Micro tools. As you go through your collections, take the time, clean them. If you've got uniface pieces, go to the distal end. A lot of this will be winter work, but I don't want you throwing your stuff away from your fields until you've had a chance to really take a look at it, okay? A couple more things here, and we'll try to wrap it up fairly quickly. As you kind of bring your season to an end, moving toward winter, there'll be just some things that will stand out. Maybe they stand out because they're colorful, they're unique, and make a statement. They're an extreme example of a piece that you'd like it to be better defined or know more about it. And so I started doing that. And as I'm going through my collections, I'm pulling stuff out that are extremes, that are beautiful. Let's start right here. Uniface, go to the distal end. I'm going to hold him. Look at the distal end. A multi-purpose tool. Then you get these gorgeous flint ridge tools. Proximal end right here, bulb of percussion holding it, distal end out here. But look at this. Now, if you're living in central Ohio, Flint Ridge is not uncommon. But for us, it is. It's beautiful. I pulled it. I set it aside because it's really neat. End scrapers are always fun. Pipe Creek, this particular material is fairly restricted to the Lake Erie region of Ohio. There's a few counties where they followed some stream systems and dropped a little bit south, but this is a great example of Pipe Creek, but it's also a beautiful example of an end scraper. Why am I showing this to you? Because I want your brain to lock in on the shape. Okay, not quite a triangular shape, flat distal end. These things are usually dirty when you pick them up in the field. You can wash them, look them over, and see what you got later. In the field, you collect. Okay, and these are just altered pieces. This is an altered piece that cone of percussion is right here. Proximal end, distal end, remnant of an overshot, scraper, graver that's been used and broken off, multi-purpose, leaning toward the paleo time period. Things that are unusual, not quite normal. Just pull them out until you can get somebody to help you out. This is a classic end scraper, proximal end, distal end, bulb of percussion. Flip him over. There's attempts made to get rid of this ridge. They got a little bit off the ridge, but a beautiful end scraper. And more than likely, we had an engraver here that is just worn down. And out here, this one was just simply broken and reworked. This one has just been used up. Take the time and really look over the things that you've picked up. Now, this one is especially framed because this is beautiful. We in Ohio, in East Central Ohio, would say, this is beautiful Coshocton flint. It's called blue. Some people call it blue with bird droppings, all kinds of names. But to me, it's unusual. It's nice. It's in here. You've seen this before, but the flint, the color of the flint, just so not normal. For that reason, I hung on to it, put it in this frame. It's just my reminder frame to slow down, take the extra special time, clean things up, see what the flint is. If the flint type is unusual, pull it out, set it aside. Enjoy your hard work this winter. This was a revelation to me. And one of our chapter members has spent some time on looking at, 1700s, 1800s glassware that's been reworked, rechipped. Now, let's see if I can find this real quick. He's here somewhere. Yeah, I think he's right there, where we have retouch going on. And of course, like you have friends and members of your archaeology groups that know a lot about bottles. This is old glass with bubbles in it, and the color, everything about this is old. So more than likely, not only 1800s, but we can move up into the early 1900s during the Depression era. And I was told that even then, they were taking glass, doing a little bit of napping work on it, making tools out of it. But once again, unusual stuff. Pull it out, set it aside, take a look at it, talk to your friends. Are you finding this stuff? Look at this graver right here. Is that an accident? I'm going to flip him around in a second. Take a look at him. Worked really well right here, right up to the graver. I'm going to turn him. Worked really well up to the graver. Intentional. A tooth. What were they using these for? I have bigger ones that won't fit into frames. This is a tool. We're still a little bit clueless on these. When you find them, people, pull them aside. They need to be looked at again. And this guy is just a multi-purpose. Bulb or cone of percussion. Gorgeous flint. Came out of Coshocton County, East Central, near the Vanport outcropping. Some people would call it Flint Ridge correctly, but might say it's from Newark, Ohio, when it was actually from West Lafayette, Ohio. I'm going to flip him. Very much used and reworked. Tip out here has been reused and worked. The side's been worked. A Buren flake removed right here. Wonderful multi-purpose tool. Again, these are things to admire, to enjoy in your collection. And finally, I want to mention that during the month of November, actually the first week of November, in Mansfield, Ohio, at Gorman Nature Center, Joe Gingrich, professor from Ohio University, will be the guest speaker. He is currently working on a 3rd edition of Eastern Fluted Point tradition. This is from the Mississippi all the way to you guys down in Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia, up into New York, even Maine, up where Gramley does a lot of his work. Kentucky. He is trying to put a more comprehensive, up-to-date volume together, tracking fluted points, looking at them, looking at their locations, looking for patterns, just like you would do, looking for patterns around a dig site. He's coming, he's speaking, come early. You can get in at 6, come early, let him see what you got. He can at least ID your stuff. Always, always, always a reminder that this book is most helpful. And the organization that produces it also produces a journal that comes out 4 times a year. And I brought 2 of them in just to show you. These are the last 2 current journals. They're wonderful, well done. You can relate to it no matter who you are, whether you're a newbie or a professor. There's stuff in there that's going to work for you. And then we have our application to the society. And I can even mail you one if you want me to mail one. But here we go. And on here is the phone number. At this phone number, they can get you signed up. They can get you connected with all the books, stone types, flint types, glacial cane, slate types coming out of this part of the U.S., specifically the Ohio and immediate area. This is the phone. People, this is just so much fun. I have to revisit stuff when I start moving into the late fall and just thank God for the health that I've had, that I got out and walked this past year, sharing things to just get you excited about what you found. Did you find any of this material? Love to hear your comments on the Hafted flint hammers. I was told that they were actually used as fire starters. And I asked the really well-educated person, why a fire starter? And he said, because one was found in conjunction with a burial and flint, and it looks very obvious that it was used as a fire starter. You know what? I need more than one example. I need multiples in multiple areas before I can say this is that or that is this. But anyway, that was one proposal that was put out there. So welcome. Thank you for traveling along with me. I'm going to take a run here in a second. And it's great. I really do like to share with you. Thank you for all your messages. I want to point out one last thing, and that's Field Archaeology 102. I have 2 videographers. One works very diligently with 101. And the other one works with Field Archaeology 102. And for me, the joy is 2 very creative people looking at life totally different. So you're going to see 2 completely different renditions of work, things that we're doing, field walking, and etc. So take a minute, please check out 102, hang out with us on 101, and I hope to see a whole slew of you in November when Gingrich comes, talks about the Eastern Fluted Point Complex. Thank you. See you soon, okay?